have first the area where we graph. We call this a Cartesian plane or an xy plane. Note that the vertical line will be our y-axis and our horizontal line will be our x-axis. Because of these axes, we now have 4 divisions or 4 quadrants, starting with first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and our fourth quadrant. Now, the notation for a point will be parenthesized numbers, wherein the first number will be our x and the second number will be the y. For the signs, the right cut of x would be positive and the upper part of y would be positive as well. Then we have negative for the rest of the directions, that would be the left part of x and the lower part of y. Because of the signs of the coordinates or points would also matter. Notice that if a point falls under quadrant 1, both of its x and y values would be positive. And if a point is under quadrant 2, its x value would be negative and its y value would be positive. And for a point under quadrant 3, both of its x and y value would be negative. Lastly, for a point under quadrant 4, notice that its x value would be positive and its y value would be negative. Now let's wrap up the signs of the points or coordinates with respect to their quadrants. Now before we move on to plotting of points, I hope you'd subscribe. Now let's try to plot some points. Let's have 2, -1. Observe that its x value is positive and its y value is negative. Hence, that would be in quadrant 4. And if we have -2 and +1 this time, this would be in quadrant 2 because our x is negative and our y is positive. For our -2, clearly that would be in quadrant 3. And a point under quadrant 1, that can be 2 too. As for plotting, it's preferable that you mark the calibration so that you will be guided. And do not forget about the signs too. That is, the right side again of x would be positive, upper part of y would be positive, and the lower part of y-axis would be negative, as well as the left part of the x-axis. Now, in plotting 2, -1, notice that we have 2 for x and -1 for y. It's preferable that when you plot, the direction would be from x to y. That is, try to trace the path of x that will coincide with the path of y. And yes, the intersection of these paths would be the coordinate of the given point. And so for the rest of the points, notice that this would happen. From an x which is -2 to a y which is +1, this would be the intersection of their paths, which is that coordinate -2, 1. And for the point -2, -2, tracing the path of x equals -2 and y equals -2, the intersection would be the given point -2 or -2. And yes, this would happen for the point 2, 2. you.